Uh, this is Margaret in Windsor. The name I have to use is Peggy Ann Dempsey. I married a Childers. I was kidnapped in 41 at age 2 and brought to Moulton, Alabama, near Huntsville, which became NASA, and Redstone Arsenal was there, etc. Um, I wrote about mind control murders before I could, let me say this, verbalize my kidnapping till later. But I was writing about the mind control murders, and I won't get into that again. I've got a lot of videos up, and I'm not being redundant in that if someone picks it up and starts looking at it, the videos, they don't know where I'm coming from on some of it, so I try to give information to begin with. Anyway, I wrote about mind control murders. I'd worked for doctors, and had a letter from the FBI. I wonder what their ongoing investigation involved. I've never heard. That was back June the 23rd of 79. Two letters, gave copies. Well, I'm going on and on. As of right now, they could say they found nothing. You know, nothing's been brought before court. It's ongoing. The crimes committed against me and my children, and my mom and dad would be dead now. Edward VIII and Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, Windsor from Madison, Wisconsin. She never married. Never married Wallace Simpson. My mother was a school teacher. Artist George O'Keefe's my aunt. And, I wrote about mind control murders, and that's how they're done, like Virginia Tech, the Parkland in Florida, etc., etc. Larry Flint was shot by a program shooter while I was doing the book, by the way, in Marietta, Georgia. So I could keep going on this. Governor Wallace was shot when he ran for the presidency, Laurel, Maryland. But you can create illnesses or cure them. And that's what was done. A lot of the mind control murders until suicide, like Robin Williams. Looks like he committed suicide. He was programmed, just like the programmers were programmed to shoot at Virginia Tech. I hope I'm not being redundant here. And he shot 32 and then turned the gun on himself. So he's really a victim like the 32. It's just 33. He was programmed to shoot himself also. He shot them, he's programmed to shoot himself. It's one and the same crime. So I'm not going to go any further there except this is my opinion. They're telling about someone connected with the Sandy Hook, parents that formed this foundation to help children with mental problems. This has nothing to do with mental illness. This is the most absurd thing to have been allowed to happen I've ever heard of in my life, except the cover up of my kidnapping, what you did to my children. I was kidnapped and brought here and gave birth to them here, obviously, because I'm a hostage. And I'm no longer welcome. They got what they wanted. I can get the hell out or die. So I'm not even welcome in my own country at this point. It's been so invaded, and Elizabeth is illegal, and that whole William, Kate, Harry, Meghan, etc. And yes, well, I'm not even going to answer somebody. I get some real nasties on here. I hope the day is soon that this is told and I can shut the book on it. It's my opinion that the suicides, what they're calling suicides, after Parkland, I believe I'm correct, there's been about 4 suicides that were connected with Parkland and with Sandy Hook. Now, there may have been more I don't know about. They're treating, it's my understanding, they're treating these victims with, like, you come back from a war. Well, I've been a victim of war. Exactly. But they're calling it what is it when a soldier comes back? I should know. Post something syndrome. Okay, this is what they're treating them for. This is almost like those involved in the programming of the shooters. Or they can use a knife. They can use the ferry to run into bad weather. It was bad weather. It just happened in the Netherlands. Now they're looking into that more. How come this captain took the cruise ship out in weather like that? Well, programming sounds like the answer. And who just did the plane yesterday or the day before from London was involved in going to Dusseldorf, Germany. I believe that would be considered east. Instead, it went north to Scotland. They're saying it went into another country. Well, I don't know. I never considered. I guess it's not up to me to consider that Scotland, I thought it was part of the UK, and we're all, Anyway, England and Wales. Anyway, the plane went up there, wasn't supposed to, so they kind of the guy got up there, the pilot, and you know what I think? I don't think he was programmed like the others have been to go off course like the KAL that supposedly had Larry McDonald, the congressman doctor I'd written about on it. And Nixon was taken off just prior to the plane taking off from Juneau to Seoul, South Korea, and it crashed in the ocean with 196 or 86 aboard. But Nixon was taken off just prior to it going takeoff, and of course he was still alive. And so people think, as I do, the plane was taken down to make it appear Larry McDonald was on it. So now then, I honestly think that this one was not from England that flew off course to Scotland rather than Germany, where it was supposed to go. I think it was verbally told to the pilot for the sole purpose, I pray, of telling this whole friggin' mess. Well, the people got on to Germany, and but I don't think this pilot was programmed, had any programming in it. I think he was verbally told to do it, and he did it just to show all this, if it finally tells the truth about it all. You can program people to do anything, and where have all your doctors been in this? It's a friggin' lie that you cannot be programmed to do things that you don't want to do. That is the biggest lie that was ever hatched out of hell. So I'm going to stop here. You program people to shoot and kill. Virginia Tech, Parkland, Columbine, Aurora, Colorado, James Holmes, where they've treated him for a non-existent illness. You have to stop the programming. To give him psychotic drugs is the most hideous, and the people that covered all this up, my God in heaven, they should get the torture they inflicted on everybody else. If your Congress doesn't know it, then you better kick their you-know-whats out and start over. Well, you shouldn't be able to start over. First of all, I could go back in history, and then you'll say, like somebody said to me, well, I didn't even know what he was talking about. I'd almost been killed. I was lucky to be able to live another day. And he was a Vietnam soldier at Warren House, 1980. I thought, what are you talking about? He said to me, if we ever give it back, we won't give it back to you. We'll give it back to the American Indians. Well, you see what they've done to the American Indians. So he was saying that he knew who I am, that had been kidnapped, and he was saying that they wouldn't give it back to the Brits. They're going to go on celebrating Independence Day. Gotcha. Okay?